In this video, I'd like to bring up a comment that a user by the name of IDMhead0, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, basically was bringing up a problem that he had with a lightning strike, essentially destroying a bunch of his equipment. And what he was asking was, he or she was asking was, what are my thoughts on basically a trip light or like brand that that has a surge protector for the coax and the Ethernet all built into one. Well, my response to that is here's a perfect example of one made by a company called APC. Now this one's really nice because it is a battery backup, which also doubles up as a surge protector, which is great because now you're protecting your devices from surges and brownouts or power outages or any type of thing like that. But it also has a coaxial surge protector built in, and it has an Ethernet surge protector built into it. Now, what I've done to demonstrate a problem that I ran into with these type of devices, and even newer ones. This one's fairly old, but even newer devices have this problem. So I have a program here called iPerf3, and what this is doing is I have a connection between this laptop and this laptop right here, and they're directly connected. There's no switch, there's no router involved, they're just directly connected. And if we look here, we can actually see, hopefully this will focus correctly. If you see here, we're running at about 94, 95 megabits per second. Now, what does this mean? This means that if you had an internet connection from whoever your internet provider is, and you were running over 100 megabits per second, so say that you had 150 megabits per second, or you had 500 megabits per second, your internet would only be at a maximum of 94, 95 megabits per second if you were to actually use this device to protect your internet connection. So essentially what you have to watch out for is these devices, the newer ones and the older ones inherently have a limitation of about 100 megabits per second. That's just due to the devices that are inside of here that are protecting your connection from both sides. They just can't handle the throughput over 100 megabits per second. And that's why I ended up having to use the products that I'll show you in a little bit here, as opposed to using one of these devices. Now, I would definitely highly recommend that you use a battery backup, because then you can make sure that your devices have a more likelihood of having a longer uptime, so you don't have to worry about little transients in the power line, either going high or low. So these are great to have in any size. APC is a wonderful brand. I highly recommend them. Trip Light, I also highly recommend. There's also CyberPower. Those ones, they're really built down to a price. If you can go for APC or Trip Light, I highly recommend them. They're a lot better brand. CyberPower, they're just really, I don't like the quality, and I really don't like their output. When they go onto the battery backup mode, their output, the AC that they put out is very rough, which can be kind of harmful to your equipment. And I can make a video about that too if you guys want. So anyway, I'm going to go in the other room and I'm going to show you the current setup that I have. So this is the current setup that I have in my server closet here. I have the surge protector for the coaxial cable, which I made in a previous video. And then this is also connected to a Ethernet surge protector by a company called Ubiquiti. Ubiquiti makes some fantastic products. I highly recommend pretty much everything that they have come out with. I've never had any issue. And this product is no different. What this does is, let's see if I can take this off one-handed. There we go. What I'm doing is the coaxial cable is coming in, going into the modem, And then it is then out of the modem, it is coming into here. So we've got the output of the modem here and then coming into the router. My router and my modem are two separate devices. So you can see here I have a Zoom modem and I have a Ubiquiti Tough router. And I'm actually rewiring this situation here, so it's actually not completely finished. But essentially, you have a drain or a ground wire that comes off of this block. It would then go to this block here, and then from this block, I need to run it to a new ground. This will go to the ground of, say, for example, an electrical outlet, or you can run it directly to your electrical panel, however you want to set it up. Now, why this device right here is perfect is this can actually handle full gigabit Ethernet. So you don't have to worry about that little transfer speed limitation that I showed you on the laptops. This will actually pass full gigabit, and I've tested it and it works. And the same thing with this device here. This can have a similar problem if you get the surge protectors that do the coaxial. They can actually have limitations of how much throughput they can pass through them, and that just comes down to the components that they're built out of. I'm going to try and put both of these devices. I know I can find the Ubiquiti. I'm going to have to look and see if I could still find this coaxial surge protector, put them in the description so you guys can actually buy these things. So let's go back to the bench real quick and I'll finish up my story. So getting back here on the bench, we can see that this test is still running and everything is about 94.9, 95 megabits per second. And this can be the problem with these all-in-one surge protectors on the Ethernet side and the coaxial side. They have limitations of what their throughputs are. The manufacturers, even APC, they don't typically put the specifications or the ratings of what these peripherals can handle, because these are kind of an afterthought. If you actually look inside, if you actually take one of these apart and you look at the insides of this, there's not a whole lot going on. It's not like, you know, a chunk of this is dedicated to this. Only about a section this big is dedicated to these little peripheral. These are an afterthought. These are, oh, by the way, this can also do this. It's mainly these devices are focused on the battery backup surge protection side from the AC side, not really from the coaxial or the Ethernet side. The only benefit that I would say is some of these devices, they actually run a ground from here to the ground pin on the actual battery backup, which is great because then you don't actually have to tie anything into your electrical panel or to your wall outlets like what I'm going to have to do with my current setup. So that's kind of it is a bonus. But the problem is you get the limitation of the speed. So it's great, but then again, it's not so great. So my recommendations are get one of these battery backups for the devices themselves. Get everything in your house should be on some sort of surge protector or battery backup. If you care any amount of your devices, everything should be connected. And honestly, you need to make sure that everything is connected physically. So anything that has an Ethernet cable should be connected with a surge protector from at least the AC side, simply because if the electricity goes in through one side, it's just going to follow all the way through your devices, especially through networking switches and that sort of thing. These are all connected in one way or another, so anything that has a cable needs to be isolated in that sense. The other thing is with these, again, it comes down to the components that are in here, and you have the limitations of the speed. So again, I'm going to put the devices in the description below for you guys to be able to pick those up. So battery backup surge protector for the AC side, coaxial surge protector for the coax side, and then surge protector for the Ethernet side. This is just something that needs to be done. It's an extra expense for any home user, but the amount of money that is saved in the long run is huge, and the downtime, and you know, if your computer gets cooked because of a surge, you know, what files do you have on it that you can no longer access, or your machine's down, you know, you got to get it repaired. And it's just a really bad headache, and I had a really bad experience because my cable provider didn't ground their equipment properly, and it ended up biting me in the ass, and I ended up having to pay out of pocket to replace my equipment because they didn't even ground the coaxial cable coming from the pole, which they're supposed to do, but they didn't. So I took it upon myself to actually, after I got bit in the ass, to put on the coaxial protector and the Ethernet protector. So anyway, long story short, this is my reasoning behind don't buy these devices for these components right here, because a lot of the times if you look on the websites, they don't even give you the specifications of what their throughput capabilities are, because these are an afterthought as far as they're concerned for these. And again, you can see that here. You know, this is the fastest speed I can get out of this thing, and I'm running it real time right now. You want to get something that can handle gigabit, and you want to have something that can for the Ethernet side, and something that can handle over 3 gigahertz for the coaxial side. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you again. ID Mhead0, if I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you for the question and the comment. Please look at some of the other videos that I have. Might be helpful for anybody's installation or setup, personal setup or commercial. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.